You must have often heard players talking about gambits. Oh, my opponent played a gambit and then I lost the game. So, what exactly is a gambit? So, gambit comes from the Italian word gambetto, and the meaning of gambetto is the act of tripping someone with the leg to make them fall. And in the chess world, a gambit is a type of a chess opening in which a player sacrifices material with the aim of achieving a subsequent positional advantage. Now, what kind of advantage, you may be wondering? For instance, one can sacrifice material to get better control of the center, or to get more space, or to get ahead in the development, or to gain a tempo, or it could be any other positional benefits. And because we have a lot of chess openings in the theory, it is therefore we have many different gambits coming out of those chess openings. So what happens when a player plays a gambit? Well, his opponent can respond in two ways. Either he can accept the gambit or he can reject the gambit. Now let's understand gambit and accepting and rejecting the gambit with the help of some commonly played gambits. So the most common gambit known is the King's Gambit. And the King's Gambit start with White starts the game with e4. The idea is to get one of his pawns to the center of the board as well as to control key center square d5. Black plays e5 with a similar idea that he too wants to get one of his pawns to the center of the board and wants to control key important d4 square. And now, because the fight in the center has already begun, White now decides to play a gambit. So he plays f4. So f4 is a gambit. Now why is it a gambit? So if you see, White is offering a pawn to Black for free. So because he is offering material right in the opening of the game, it is therefore this setup is called as a gambit, and e4, e5, f4 is called as the King's Gambit because this gambit is happening at the King's side. Now as I said earlier that when a player plays a gambit, his opponent can reply in two ways. Either he can accept a gambit or he can reject a gambit. So what do we mean by these two terms? Well, if Black captures this free pawn, that means White had played a gambit and Black accepted that gambit. So in this case, we will say Black accepted the gambit. But what if Black doesn't accept the gambit? What if he plays any other move? Let's say he plays knight to c6. So in this case, because Black refused to capture the free pawn, that means Black has rejected the gambit. So in short, a gambit is offering of free material right in the chess opening so that the player who plays gambit can get some type of positional advantage. And if his opponent takes the free material, that means the gambit is accepted, and if the opponent doesn't take the free material, that would mean the gambit was rejected. Alright, now since you have understood the basic concepts, now I'm sure you must be wondering why would anyone in this case offer a free pawn like this? So here the idea is that if Black accepts the gambit, then White can now play d4, taking a full control of the center, getting two of his pawns in the center of the board, and with d4 he is also gaining a tempo because now White's dark square bishop is attacking this free pawn. One more reason behind playing King's Gambit is that, as you can see, this f file is now completely open. So White can get his knight here, develop his bishop to either this square or this square, and then can quickly castle in the game. So White's rook will have an active f file, and White can later get his queen to this square, and both the queen and the rook can form a battery on the f file, putting a huge pressure on Black's king side. And that is why White decided to offer a free pawn right in the second move by playing the King's Gambit. Now let's quickly look at some more popular gambits. After King's Gambit, the second most popular gambit is the Queen's Gambit, and the Queen's Gambit starts with d4, Black plays d5, and now White offers a pawn at c4. Now this type of gambit is called as the Queen's Gambit. Let's look at one more gambit. This gambit is called as the Smith-Morra gambit, and this gambit starts with e4, black plays c5. As you must already be aware that this is a Sicilian opening, and now white offers a pawn at d4. Black takes the pawn, white offers another pawn at c3, black takes one more pawn, and now white recaptures the c pawn with his knight. So the idea of sacrificing a pawn is that white is ahead in development. White's bishops are already active. White has successfully developed one piece. His queen is active, and white has successfully established a pawn in the center controlling one of the key center squares. So because white is far ahead in development and in taking control of the center squares, this position is right now in favor of white, despite white being down a pawn. Let's look at one more interesting gambit, and that is called as the Danish gambit. The Danish gambit starts with e4, black plays e5, white offers the pawn at d4, black accepts the gambit by playing e into d4, and now white offers another pawn at c3. This is called as the Danish gambit. Let's look at one more example of a gambit, and this is called as the Benko gambit. White starts with d4, black plays knight to f6, white plays c4, and now black plays c5. He offers a pawn for free. This is called as the Benko gambit. Now, white in this case doesn't accept the free pawn. He rejects the gambit and he plays d5. Black offers another pawn at b5. This setup is called as the Benko gambit. So I'm sure you must have understood what a gambit is and what do you mean by the terms a gambit is accepted or whether a gambit is rejected. Now, if you're keen to learn one of these gambits or the rest of the gambits in chess in detail, then do let me know in the comments box and I shall make those videos for you. And as always, don't forget to like this video and do subscribe to my channel. And it's time for the question of the day. And today's question is, when is the gambit played? And your options are in the opening or in the endgame. Let me know your answers in the comments box. And if you're really serious about chess and want to improve your game and climb up the ladder from beginner to intermediate to advanced, then you should check out the membership programs that I have for you. Do join me today, and I'll see you in the next video.